Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Kylie Gray and you are on our farm here in Central Oregon. It is quite smoky, it is quite hot. We're in the middle of a heat wave that has been July. So yeah, today is 90, got up to 98 here on the farm, and tomorrow and the next day, the next 5 days, we're gonna be in the 80s. I'm looking at my hat and my viewfinder, and I had just shoved it into my truck. It's normally like a stiff brim. It is what it is at this point, because I was camping with some of my girlfriends and we didn't even get to stay the night because a fire broke out close to our farm and we had to get back. I had to get home just in case things went down, you know what I'm saying? But fortunately, praise report, nothing's gone down. I'm bringing up my green stalks. These were in the high tunnel, but my high tunnel has been a sad debacle this year, so I'm bringing my green stalks up. These were a gift for my Mother's Day. I've never grown in green stalks, and so far I haven't really had any success. If it looks like a garage sale behind me in my yard, it's because we've cleared off everything off our front porch, or our top porch, because I'm about to restain it. I already did this one. I'm doing that one next. Cows are getting fed. They're noisy critters. But I harvested some of my garlic. All of my garlic. I don't know why it's here in this tote, and I need to get it out to dry it. And it was a pretty decent harvest. I was really there's my other green stalk. You can see it back there. I got pink. Pink's, I know I'm saying pink's not normally my thing, but I'm wearing a pink shirt and I have pink green stalks. But believe me when I tell you, I'm much more of a blue, teal, green person. We got some decent sized bulbs here. Yep, right there. And then we have some puny sized bulbs. But in case you might not know this, but when you're planting garlics and you're planting the whole bulb of it, if you're planting even the small cloves, you're going to end up with small bulbs. When you plant the bigger the clove, the bigger the bulb you get. So it kind of just shows you what the two differences will be, and you'll still get garlic, it'll just be small. But now we are a zone 3, so we do have a harsh winter. There's Madeline. But I found if you overwinter them, they get pretty massive. And I believe this is one of my overwintered ones that, well, I overwinter all my garlic, but I mean from 2 years ago. So last summer's garlic, if they were really small or just kind of like rotted off the stick or the stem, I just left them in and just did that. So you want to go see the gardens because it's been a while, and I'm not going to go into the high tunnel because I don't want to go to the high tunnel. I thought I was going to have a really puny garlic harvest, but it ended up being a really good garlic harvest. So I was quite pleased, and it should do us definitely enough for a year. Oregon is on fire at the moment. There's so many fires across the state. Luckily the one out here is over 50% contained. That was close to us. And we've had multiple fires in the area. This one was the first one where we had an evacuation notice, but it wasn't like a get out right away. But I thought I'd just bring you into what we call the big garden. And if you're new here, we have a 14,000 square foot market garden where we were market growers. We grew a lot of vegetables and flowers even. And if you look back on some of our later video or our earlier videos, you can see that kind of process. We had a whole gaggle of people working with us, volunteers and interns and all the things, and it felt like I was living my dream. And I was in a sense, but long story short, I felt pulled back just to garden for our homestead. Like I said, it's been hot all of July. It's towards the end of July now, and it is still hot and smoky and lots of fires and all the things. It has been a scorcher, and we live in a climate where we get frost all year round, or we have the potential to get frost all year round, and we're more likely to get frost all year round than not. It's hard to grow crops because we are in the high desert, and when we've been having a heat wave, I mean, we've been in like yesterday it was 92 and that felt cool to us by the evening. And we do cool down here because we are in the high desert, but it just felt like fall last night and it felt good, and the smoke cleared for the evening and we got to open the windows and all the things. It was a lovely evening. Tonight it's smoky, it's blazing, not so lovely, not so fall feeling, but we turned half this garden into, we stopped using it because it was way too big for what we needed for our family, and we had turned it into a community garden. We partnered with our church and just kind of brought awareness there. But if you are local to Central Oregon and you want to be a part of a community garden, you can shoot me an email. We'd love to have you out. So this half of the garden is the community garden, and we've had some rough go-abouts with it, and not with like the people have been great. It's been the vegetables, just because it's been such a hard year, because we are in a high desert and we get this heat of hundreds and upper 90s all for 30 days, which is unreal. But we've been freezing. We can still freeze. And the temperature fluctuations make it extremely hard to grow things outside, like tomatoes or melons or squashes or cucumbers or beans or anything like that. And there's been other summers like this where it's been like just a scorcher of a year, and I'm like, forget that crap. I'm going to just grow beans and cucumbers. And they get big and they start to flower. They have little fruits on them. And then a big hard freeze comes in late July or August and we get jack crap. So some things, it makes it a little difficult because they don't like the cold, and these guys tend to not like the heat. So succession sowing is your best friend in this type of climate, and it can be done. So many people have told me you can't grow a lot of food here, which I understand the discouragement, because I myself have had a lot of discouragement this year, and particularly with our massive high tunnel. But it is so worth it once it starts to succeed and once it starts to do well. This garden is full of weeds, and you're going to see that, and I want to encourage you to know that sometimes your garden has weeds, sometimes your pathways need mowed, sometimes all these things go wrong, but you can still have an amazing garden season. And as far as our community garden goes, I'm just going to kind of touch quickly on both, and then we're going to head over to my little garden, which is my sanctuary, and where I love it the most. It's just where I just feel at peace the most. And this year though, it got just devastated early on, late June, when it was looking beautiful, the most beautiful it's ever looked, because I had so many perennials in there, and it's having a bit harder of a time coming back to life, but it is coming back to life. And so yeah, I'll take you over there in a bit. But so this garden, this half is my family side, and we harvested our garlic that was in the first bed here. And these are a lot of onions. We have a ton of varieties of onions, mainly storage varieties, because what we can grow here in Central Oregon is a lot of storage crops. And when you can grow a lot of storage crops, it means you can feed your family for an entire year, all throughout the season, because we do have a short season. If you Google us where we are, it just says our growing season is like, our growing range is not applicable. NA doesn't exist, and that's because of all our freezes, and they never know what to say here. So we had some carrots, we got some storage carrots, we got a crap ton of onions, we have some parsnips, I have a bed of strawberries, it's just full of weeds right now, and 2 more beds of onions down yonder, and all in the back are potatoes, which the potatoes are doing quite well, and I don't water them very much, which I probably should. I told my mom, I said, Mom, my potatoes are jamming. They're just like doing really good, and I water them like once a month. And she's like, you know, if you watered them more, they'd probably be doing better. Touche, Don, touche. But they are doing pretty well. They are out of the way. They're really heavily mulched, and we haven't gotten any rain in a couple months. I've had rain come through. Sunday was mine and Trey's, my husband's 12th year anniversary, and we were in downtown Bend, Oregon, having a nice meal, and it poured, just absolutely downpoured for a good while. And I was like, oh, it'd be really nice if that was at home. But here in Central Oregon, where there's rain and storms, typically it's from the heat and the weather changing coming in. It's thunderstorms. And so when you have thunderstorms, you got lightning, and then when you have lightning, you have forest fires, which is why our whole state is on fire. But sometimes it comes with torrential rain, and that's really awesome. But it's been not funny, it's been missing us every time. Like, it'll hit our little town of Lapine, like the town itself. We live outside of town. It'll hit that. It'll be a torrential downpour there. Doesn't come here. Or maybe we get like a sprinkle. But we've had a couple drops, but it's nothing to be able to water the gardens with, and so that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So this compost in this garden, so we're just praying for rain over here, but you know, neither wind nor rain when we'll have water. But this bed has a bunch of carrots in it. It's all weedy, but this is our own compost, and this is our own compost we've used. And last year we had a crap ton of squash in our high tunnel because it was jamming, and this year we had a lot of volunteer squash, and I've had a lot of cucumbers volunteer and a lot of different kinds of varieties of squash, and they frosted over and over again. But these, I have like three or four squash plants that I have no idea what variety they are, and they're probably cross-pollinated, but it's gonna be fun to see. But this one is doing really good. It's jamming. I don't know if we'll get any fruit off of it. I'm seeing some blossoms coming on it, but nothing like open and ready to get pollinated, and I don't know if we'll get anything because we're cooling down in the 80s this week, and one of the days is like 82 is a high, which is gonna really feel like fall because 82 is gonna feel real cold. And so when we drop into the 80s, we're, I would say, most likely going to freeze. It's just the fact of life. And these squash plants, because they're not frost tolerant, will kick the bucket. But it's fun to see them get this big outside. I've never ever seen it. I've never seen him do that. So this bed is carrots. It's a weedy mess. This is actually, we have back to the garden. I'll probably do my next video about this because I got some footage. Most of the people in the group didn't even know I was a YouTuber until 2 weeks ago, and I was like, do you know I do YouTube? And they're like, no. I'm like, yep, I do garden content in our climate. And they're like, I had no idea. And I was like, I know, I feel weird telling people, but obviously you know, you're watching. So we did these two beds last week, and we had poor germination. The onions, these are all Walla Wallas. They are doing pretty good. We had a couple of them not survive, but I think it was either birds or something else because we had a major bird problem eating our seed. Now things are doing much better, but we're going to continue the weeding and mulching. We had a group member donate a crap ton of mulch for us because we have 2 wells here on our farm, and one of them is only 16 feet deep and it is running dry. So it's been a miracle we've been able to water our gardens and our animals off of that for the last 5 years, but it is still going, and it still waters our animals and still waters the little garden. But it used to be able to water all of this, but it's just kind of running dry. We haven't had the snowfall we need to keep up with the droughts, so that's the issue. These 2 beds, we have Parisian market carrots. This lettuce patch has been like giving and giving and giving, and I don't want to go too much into this community garden yet because I want to share in a bigger video and share clips from the garden group that I got last week, and I'll probably get tomorrow. But everything is really doing pretty well. Tomorrow we do a meal. It's on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. here on our farm, obviously, and we do dinner and we have some prayer time at the beginning, and then we hit the garden, and it's quite enjoyable. Feel free to come. It's fun, and we just have a ball in the garden. It's hysterical. So anyway, dinner's at 6. Come on out if you want to. I'll send you my address if you email me. It's a lot of fun. So we're gonna work on these couple beds tomorrow, and we're gonna mulch them. And it seems like every time we have a need, and I'm dipping into it, it gets met somehow with the garden. And whether it's large or small, it gets met. And it's been really cool to see. And I know it's our first year and it's still getting started, but it's been really lovely. And it's an all-for-one type of community garden. So we all work together for the betterment of the garden. And we're not like so-and-so has a bed and so-and-so has another bed. We all work together, and sometimes we're spread out around the garden, but we've been really concentrating, especially last week, just be like, hey, let's all work on this bed, get it mulched. Let's all work on this bed and get it mulched. And we had a group member bring out some starts that he had in his garden left over, which are turnips and some red Russian kale, so they're doing really well. Now with the heat, your biggest concern is your cold crops bolting, which we have a whole section of bolted crops back there that have just gone to seed, and that's okay. We're just gonna we're not gonna worry about them. And we had lots of weeds, we've had lots of bird problems, we've had all sorts of issues, watering issues, all the things. And a lot of our germination, and it's been so dang hot to start cold crops, nothing's gonna germinate when it's so hot like this. It's just not, they don't like to germinate above a certain temperature, and it has been above that certain temperature. We got some good looking, starting to bulb up onions. These guys are looking good too. The sun is just beaming. Oh, it is still blazing. Our first section of peas, you can see they're getting up almost to the top of the trellis down. Oh, definitely midway through the trellis. Over midway. And these guys are low because we had to replant them 3 or 4 times to get them to germinate because the robins were just coming in here and just plucking our seed out of the ground and just munching on them. And there's some spotty germination in areas, and I attribute it to our well because we started it with our solar well, which was our second well, and I told you it's going dry. And I don't think I realized it for a while because when I would turn it on, the water pressure would just be fabulous. And then I think after a bit, it went down. And so like certain areas weren't quite getting watered. Since we've switched it over, it hasn't quite been the case. My high tunnel, it has went through that late, we got a late hard freeze in the end of June. And it was a hard freeze. And it killed all my tomatoes that I started from seed. And all my peppers that I started from seed either got frozen or the grasshoppers, which have been plaguing my high tunnel, which I dealt with. I put some DE in there and hopefully that cured what ailed it, but we'll see. It's not gonna be a pepper year, I'll tell you that right now. And then I planted a bunch of cucumbers. I planted a crap ton of beans in there, and all of the beans are up, and you see a little green stalk that just had been mowed. The leaves, everything, the grasshoppers have demolished everything. And I've planted and replanted, and I'm at the point of, okay, maybe I need to not keep doing the same thing over and over again because I'm expecting different results. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Doing the same exact thing over and over and expecting different results? Yeah, well, that's what's happening this year. I am backing off of that, and I'm just going to just be kind of seeking the Lord and seeing what He has for me. But what I'm kind of leaning towards is starting fall crops, winter crops in there. And I've never done it because our tomatoes we can push into October in there with some season extension at the beginning of October into September, and that takes up a lot of time, especially because we get so cold that we don't have enough time for them to get big, like, and form heads like a cauliflower or broccoli, what have you. So my boys and my husband are out here playing basketball on a basketball court my husband has built for them. And so you're gonna hear some wild banshees, but it is what it is. Okay, so we're gonna go into my little garden. And keep in mind, it is late July. Also keep in mind that it's been a rough year for me, okay? And so I'll take you in here to my sanctuary. And yeah, normally I'll just show you. Let's go. So welcome to my sanctuary. This was our first garden this is our first garden that I built. All my gardens are a no dig based off of Charles Dowding. Oh, praise the Lord. My rose bush got frozen and ate down by my cows. I planted a rose. This is zone 3. I have geese. They make their presence well known. I thought she was crispy, but look at it. She's got some fresh green growth. She's gonna make it. Beatrix, Harriet. This hat is just killing me. It's so funny looking. I got Beatrix and Harriet off eBay as hatching eggs, and I hatched them out in my incubator, and here they are. Let me tell you, they're noisy critters, but we don't get any predators when they're around the chickens. So each year I plant this wall of sunflowers, and each year it grows up really tall and you can't even see the chicken coop. This year got demolished by the cows. I replanted, but some of them came back up, and they're at different sizes, as you can see, and they're getting ate by grasshoppers. All the things are happening to them terribly, and they're still coming, but it is patchy. Like here isn't quite filled. We have some little sunflowers that are not quite up yet. And here, I got some babies. I don't know if they're gonna do anything. I think the bigger ones will definitely do something, but they should be way taller than this by the end of July. But it is what it is. It is what it is, you know, how it pops. Oh, it's getting real smoky out. Gooseberries, I've had one ripe one this year, and that's about it. Hasn't been much to write home about. These all got knocked down, ate, and they are starting to bloom though, which is funny to me because they're very small blooms, but I didn't think they would because of getting mowed down. This is the heartbreak of the year. with the raspberries. They were beautiful and bushy. They were full of blossoms. The cows came ate them. And now you can see a lot of them are growing up from the base. But the ones up here are still have what was left. They still have some berries coming on them. We'll see how they are. Hopefully they're freaking awesome. These are my potatoes. They're doing really awesome with this heat and in this cool. So this garden has tree beard, which is my big old pine tree that everybody's told me 1,000 times to cut down, but I will never cut him down. And I even have a spare growing here. And people always say, hey, why do you want a tree? Gardens are supposed to have full sun. Okay, you live in a climate that gets frost all year round, that gets a month of like 100-degree weather, but you could freeze at any point. How do you get things to grow? Okay, well, this garden is always my favorite because it's like 20 degrees colder on the farm with this big tree, and because of the tree, it protects it from the frost. This garden might not get frost when that one does because of the tree, and also it keeps it so much cooler where my cold crops like it better in here, and I don't have to succession sow very much, besides my lettuce maybe, but I don't have to succession sow anything, and I get a great fall crop. So that is why Tree Beard stays here. That is why he has a name and a face, although he lost an eyeball. That's a problem. Okay, look it, I got some. Oh, everybody's blooming. That's a good sign. Sometimes in this climate, I don't get blossoms on my potatoes at all. So it's blooming quite a bit. That's pretty good. This is the scene of the crime where the cows burst in through the fence. 6 years, never had a problem. But this year, problem. Currant, starting to ripen up. We got all sorts of berries. Do you guys like currants? I love currants. And I never had enough to make jam. I thought I was going to be this year, but you know the story I'm about to say. So, those are exceptionally good. Holy moly. I'm going to sit here on my stump. This had so many berries on it before. I thought I was going to need one of those berry rakes. You ever see those? So these are slowly but surely ripening up. They're so good. The cows when they see me in this garden, the chickens when they see me in this garden, the geese when they see me in this garden, they're always making so much noise because I weed. I sit in here and I weed, and then I give them all the weeds. Ah, you're quite demanding. Are you? Suki girl might be in heat. Suki girl, we have 4 cows. 2 are calves-ish. 2 are mamas. And Suki is our first time mama, and she's a first time milking cow, and we've been training her, and it's been going well. And and now she's here. At the scene of the crime. Suki, naughty girl. All our cows are named after Gilmore Girls characters, except for technically Mama Mia. She's my first cow. She's the matriarch of our herd. But also, if you watch Gilmore Girls often, Mia is the owner of the inn that Lorelai goes to. So we have Suki, Mia, Miss Patty, and Babette. And we're about to sell. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, so I had to stop the video because I found another way the cows are trying to push in, and my oldest is going to come and he's going to help me put another board up. We just need to, I don't know, maybe I'll fence these guys off from here because they are up to no good. So anyway, there is that. We got all sorts of cabbages and broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower in here, and it's going to be a lovely, Lord willing, fall garden, and hopefully we get some sunflower blooms. It might not be as spectacular as last year's, but that's okay. I will see you guys on my next video, and thanks for following along, and thank you for all of you new subs, and if you haven't been subscribed, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye guys. One last clip. I had to throw my hair up while we were doing this. We got a board up, and I just realized as we were putting this up, I'm like, this is probably the length, because the only place of this fence is how they got in was these 2 panels right here, that the fence doesn't go all the way to the top. I'll just show you. It doesn't go Like this right here goes all the way to the top of this board. This doesn't. And so that's what they were doing. And so but I'm pretty sure a cattle panel will fit in this whole area, and that I could like really get on there and screw in and get it really tight. So I think that is what I'm gonna do. And I do have an extra one. So tomorrow I'm going to get a cattle panel, and then I don't have to have all these boards up, and I'll just get a cattle panel up and get it secured. So that's gonna be tomorrow's task, but I think this will keep them out. And now it explains why this section of raspberries right here look really small and look like they haven't been growing. Well, they have been. The cow's been eating them. Oh, this poor hat. It's a sad life. Hopefully she can make a comeback, or else another bites the dust. Okay, now for real, podcast.